Quitting your 9 to 5 has been romanticized everywhere, basically, and I've romanticized it too. But not many people talk about what going all in with doing your own thing can do to your mental health. I quit my corporate job a little over a year ago to do my own thing, and today I want to talk about the struggles that came with this decision and share my experience with burnout after quitting my 9 to 5. Before quitting, I used to work at a big media company in Germany as a media consultant, and I quit because I knew that corporate life was not for me, and also because I wanted to be able to work from anywhere in the world, because I wanted to go to New York City, and first and foremost because I wanted to do my own thing. And at that point, that own thing was first my YouTube channel, and second an app business, and a little more than that, but more on that later in this video. So I handed in my resignation in October 2022, and I was finally free in the end of January 2023. Pretty much right after that, I went to New York City to work on my app business and on this YouTube channel. And my plan was to stay there for 3 months because that's what my visa allowed at the time. And within these 3 months, I was planning or kind of counting on having the MVP of my app ready and to have built my YouTube channel to the point where I would at least have it monetized and maybe even be able to live off of that. And that's where it all started to kind of go wrong. Wrong is not necessarily the right word, but let's just say both things did not happen. Before I dive into what happened in these 3 months and in the year after that, let's talk about what I mean by burnout, because I feel like this word is being overused a lot. And also it's kind of hard to distinguish between a burnout in a medical term and other mental conditions like depression or just a phase of stress. For me, for example, during the whole year, I had feelings of stress because I was excited in a positive way, but also in a negative way because I did not have any securities. I did not know whether my business ideas were going to turn out right or basically how I was going to make money and pay my rent. So I was anxious and I had the typical stress symptoms like heart racing, not being able to sleep, being very irritable, being easily annoyed at the smallest things. And I remember laying in bed quite often, not being able to sleep once again, and thinking to myself, wow, I wonder how long my body and mind are gonna be able to handle this, because this is just a lot. Because not only was I working a lot of hours during the week and on the weekend and at night, but also I did not have a lot of money because I was living off my savings and some funding, but that funding was not a lot. I'm still very grateful for it, but still I couldn't afford to go out to eat a lot or, do relaxing things. My private life was also kind of chaotic in a good way somehow, but still chaotic and also stressful. I was working out a lot. I was in general very disciplined with many areas of my life, so I had stress in many areas of my life, not only work, although I think probably also only that area would have been sufficient for me to be stressed. But I think the combination of it all especially led to the stress being manifested physically, if you can say that. So what I mean by this is few months ago or many weeks ago, my body sent me some really clear signals because, for example, I could not get out of bed in the morning physically. I felt so exhausted after sleeping for 8 hours or 9 hours. I could not physically lift any weights anymore in the gym. I was very dizzy. I could not really get out of my chair. I mean, I could, but it took a lot of effort to stand up. And I walked very slowly and I cried at the smallest annoyances or difficulties at work, and I finally realized that I have to take a break. I mean, I kind of knew it before that because I had the smaller symptoms of feeling stressed all the time, but there I knew, okay, I can't physically do anything anymore. I couldn't concentrate apart from the not being able to move normally. Also, when I sat at my laptop, there was basically a whole day going by and I got nothing done because I could just not concentrate at all. And then I went to my doctor and Googled a lot and read a lot and found out that I have something called adrenal fatigue, which basically means that my body does not produce cortisol, the very, very important stress hormone that our body needs to be alive, basically, sufficiently anymore. Because during phases of stress, our body produces cortisol in order to, be able to concentrate, to function, to be alert, and all these things that you need to, have in phases of stress. But if these phases of stress last for too long, your body basically kind of literally burns out because it produces way too much cortisol, and at some point it just cannot produce any more cortisol, so it stops or it reduces producing cortisol drastically. And that's why I'm having these symptoms, because my cortisol levels are just too low. I don't think that symptoms like these, where your actual physical hormones are out of balance, is necessary to call something a burnout. But for me, that was the absolute clear sign that there's no discussion, that I just have to slow down. But next to these kind of symptoms, there are many variations of your mind or your body or both telling you that you have to slow down. And the thing is that once you hit that point, it's a lot harder, or it takes a lot longer to recover from it than if you take a break before you go over that line. I am learning this now. Okay, so how could I have helped me to not burn out, and what can you do to learn from my mistakes? First thing is that I was too optimistic. And I think mindset is one of the, if not the most important part if you want to do your own thing. You have to be optimistic, and you have to believe in yourself, in your idea, or at least that you will find some good idea and be able to execute it well. But I think, or I've learned, that you can also be too optimistic, because being too optimistic or not realistic or naive led me to not have a good backup plan, which again led me to be anxious all the time. Some people say that not having a backup plan helps you to be motivated and to work fast and productively. That might be. Probably depends on the situation and the person. For me, that was not the case, because I was already very, very motivated and disciplined and working a lot, and probably not as efficient as I could have, but as efficient as I, knew how to. So for me, it only had a negative effect, that I was so scared of having to go back to a corporate job, which I really, 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 really did not want to do. And because I didn't have a proper backup plan, I wasted so much time during that year thinking about a possible backup plan, which led me to start not whole businesses, but work on other business ideas or freelance ideas or side hustles, side jobs, passive income ideas, which I thought would be a good backup plan. But of course they weren't, because it was, again, always kind of a new business. And another thing that I learned is that you should not, if possible, start two businesses or more at the same time. And I am already kind of doing that, because I started my app business and this YouTube channel, which I didn't start, but it still hadn't taken off, so it's still starting. But if you have so many projects at the same time that are all so intense because they're still, in the baby shoes, you can't focus on any of them the way that you should. And you strain your brain of even more energy than already with just one or two new ideas, because as exciting as new ideas are, or new businesses or new projects, it's also stressful to have new things. And if it's only new things, then, you have more stress than with just one new thing. And I recently listened to a podcast by Ali Abdaal where he talked about, or he named this syndrome as the shiny object syndrome. And I think it's in the entrepreneurship world, it's a known term, because apparently entrepreneurs, or some at least, tend to be excited by ideas and have many of them, and tend to want to pursue each of these ideas, maybe at the same time. But let me tell you, I'm not a pro yet, but what I have learned in the last year is that you should focus on as little as possible, or as few things as possible. Because starting, and I'm saying starting, multiple businesses at the same time is kind of stupid. And this backup plan could have been anything, whether a specific business or freelance plan, not just idea, but plan, or a few jobs that I would not mind too much to go back to, or just shifting my mindset in a way that appreciates corporate jobs for what they are, aka easy in one way, depending on the job, depending on the company. But my identity was so in the mood for thinking corporate jobs are evil that I might have to go back to one at some point, made me incredibly anxious. So I think also one method of having a good backup plan is changing a mindset into a mindset that appreciates corporate jobs for what they are and not putting all of them off as evil. I'm still not a fan of corporate jobs for myself, and I think I will never be, but I don't totally think they're evil anymore. Another thing that I did wrong that sounds not new to you probably, but I need to say it and you should listen to it, please. And it is to take breaks. And I've talked about this in my videos, in my productivity videos, because we all know that we should take breaks in order to be productive. That's what people are saying, next to also saying that you should not watch Netflix at all because you should always work on your hustles. You need to take breaks, the good kind of breaks, even if your work feels like a break. Because when you do what you love, or when you enjoy what you're doing for work, it's very easy to just keep on doing it all the time and to prioritize it over everything else. I mean, I'm still guilty of this because I love my work. I really enjoy working still, even after burning out. But being so happy with what I do and being so motivated to get it going and to, make money and be successful led me to not take breaks. And that led me to burnout. Surprise, surprise. Because I just started working on the evenings more and more, on the weekends more and more. I did not cancel on friends because that's a principle that I still have to this day, that if my body allows it, I don't cancel. But I started to make fewer and fewer plans myself and was gladder and gladder when people canceled, because that meant I could get some work done, and that's not good. If that would have been just for a month or two, probably that's fine, but I did that for too long. And at the same time, I did still take care of my health, because the health nerd that I am, my health is usually still my absolute top priority. So I did work out a lot, I ate very healthily, and I don't mind that because I love watching what I eat and I love working out. Again, it felt like it's something that's good for me, and it's of course good for you to work out and eat well, but it's still stress to work out a lot. And if on top of that you have a lot of work and existential fears, and also basically stop meditating, because in the mornings I thought I could not even spare 10 minutes to meditate because I needed these 10 minutes in my productive morning work hours. So what I changed now, because I had to, was to work less. I forced myself to not work in the evenings, not work on weekends, which is very hard, especially now that my motivation is coming back, but I'm forcing myself to take things slow. I eat very well while also enjoying the foods that I want to enjoy. I take supplements. Next to several vitamins, I'm taking adaptogens, I think is what you call them in English too, which calm down my nerves. They're good in phases of stress, but I'm not a doctor, that's why I don't want to go into detail here. But there are things such as supplements that you can do that help a lot with burnout or with just feeling stressed. I meditate every day. In my workouts, I don't lift too heavy weights right now, only light weights, and I do a lot of Pilates, which is not my favorite type of workout, I have to be honest. I love my weights, but for now they're not too good. I moved my workouts from the morning to the afternoon because the morning workouts can be very effective, but they also mean, if you haven't eaten before working out, which I usually don't do, mean more stress to your body. I don't do intermittent fasting currently because also that is stress on your body, usually a good kind of stress, but still stress. Being hungry is not good when you have the thing that I have, but that does not apply to every kind of burnout, only the cortisol kind of burnout that I have, if you can say that. I'm not a doctor, sorry for my medically incorrect way of explaining this. And I changed my mindset regarding corporate jobs a little bit in a way that I still would very much prefer not going back to one, but if I had to, that would be okay, because that would not be my career, it would just be means to an end. And all of that has really helped me a lot within the last few weeks to start to recover. I'm still taking things slow, and I think I will have to keep taking things slow for a while now, because like I said, I crossed that burnout line, which made me handle stress not as well as I used to be able to handle stress. But even though quitting my 9 to 5 has had this pretty big effect on my health, I have not regretted it once. Every day since I quit my job, I'm so happy that I'm in this situation and that I have the freedom to work on my own little empire. Even if it's gonna take me a few more years until one of my businesses in my empire succeeds, that's fine, because I'm enjoying the journey, and that's the most important thing about anything. If you're currently in this situation where you're trying to decide whether you should quit your 9-to-5 job or not, have a look at my video up here where I talk about how I made the decision to finally take the leap and hand in my resignation. Thank you so much for watching, and take care.